Let's talk about season 33. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like the energy around the show is interesting right now. We're all so used to how these Simpsons seasons come and go, just more episodes to throw on the Disney Plus pile. But there's something different about season 33. There have been quiet rumblings of a Simpsons renaissance, with some fans steadfastly declaring this is the show's best output in years. For an extremely jaded fanbase like The Simpsons have, the fact that there are even whispers about this is a statement in itself. So what happened in season 33? Is the show on an upswing? Should classic Simpsons fans give this one a shot? What exactly is it about these episodes that have created so much buzz? If there's one overarching theme of season 33, it's probably change and or trying new things. They're pushing the boundaries a bit more, trying out some new character dynamics and playing around with format, style, and tone. This is a year that bookends with two separate musicals, the star of the Backstage and Poorhouse Rock. It will do these minimalist wilderness adventures in Boyz N the Highlands and Pixelated and Afraid. Or, to add on to the wilderness vibe, their two-parter, A Serious Flanders, a completely non-canonical and gritty Fargo send-up. That episode even opens with a Simpflix menu, clearly indicating how this is going to be something completely different. It's a universe where they can murder our favorite characters in cold blood and take things in a truly unexpected direction. The danger of experimenting, however, is that they risk coming off as gimmicky, leading to polarized reactions. In The Star of the Backstage, they get around Julie Kavner's voice by bringing in Kristen Bell to sing all of her lines. It's played more as a psychological device that this is a voice all in her head. For some, this feels like a cop-out, the show doggedly trying to work around its actors' limitations. Whereas others would view this as the show trying to turn lemons into lemonade, this oddball creative choice. The overall effect is just really weird, you know? A streetcar named Marge, this ain't. Or as another example, let's consider Poorhouse Rock. That one isn't even a musical until halfway through, and then it becomes all musical. Like elaborate fantasy sequences directly to the camera musical. If you have an aversion to Lisa or Moe rapping, or heavy-handed commentary, this definitely is not for you. I enjoy this one, despite that heavy-handedness. My tolerance for potential cringe is much higher than most. But yeah, let's just say they took a big swing on this one. Other episodes take a less experimental stance regarding the format, instead trying out new character pairings or getting more into their backstories. They'll do an episode about Cletus and Brandine's relationship, showing how they fell in love. Fat Tony becomes Maggie's godfather, which naturally leads to more mafia shenanigans. Marge and Bart connect over Marge's prankster roots. Lisa develops a close bond with Shauna, of all people. Yes, that Shauna. It turns out she's gifted at playing the drums and the two connect over music. Does Shauna's musicality come completely out of nowhere? Absolutely. But you know, Shauna is such a blank slate. Why not start filling in some of the gaps? It turns out Shauna and Lisa actually play off of each other well, are surprisingly good character foils. Plus, it frees up Homer and Chalmers to have a beer bromance in the B-plot. You get these two characters together, and suddenly, oh my god, that's actually great. I'm on board for more Homer Chalmers going forward. I feel like we're getting a more forward-looking perspective from the series, where they want to build on their previous work. In Portrait of a Lackey on Fire, Smithers gets a new boyfriend, this fashion designer played by Victor Garber. Now, this is a guest star character, so you can imagine how it's going to end. But the point is that they're not just having Smithers bumming around, pointlessly pining after Mr. Burns. They changed Smithers' dynamic and are doing something with it. Thank you. They even brought in Johnny Lazebnik, son of Simpsons staff writer Rob Lazebnik, to provide a fresh take on the character. The show has finally decided on a permanent replacement for Mrs. Krabappel, introducing Kerry Washington as Ms. Peyton. The idea being that Kerry Washington can be a recurring guest like Marsha Wallace was, popping in for a few appearances per year. The show did experiment with Ned Flanders in the role, but never truly committed to it. Her debut episode showed what a new energy she can bring to dusty old Springfield Elementary, a totally new dynamic with Bart. In The Wayz We Were, we get another major continuity change. Moe ends up reconnecting with Maya, last seen in season 20, and the two develop a stable relationship. At least stable by Moe's standards. Now in my opinion, the character writing isn't quite there with Maya this go around. The sharp and witty season 20 Maya was replaced by a vapid, empty-headed love interest that would make even the 1990s blush. They don't even acknowledge the end of Eeny Teeny Maya Mo. It's like even the writers think that Act 3 was mishandled. But as much as I will complain about the execution, this episode is a major step forward for Mo as a character. We get that introspective look at how he ruins relationships, his self-sabotage. We get actual character progress. Mo isn't just spinning his wheels. Gotta say, I love how they have Midge give Mo the gentle push he needed. Nice touch. Honestly, even though I criticize Maya's characterization, I think the character writing overall is one of Season 33's greatest strengths. The Simpson family are at its absolute best, giving each of them their moments in the sun. We get one of the greatest portrayals of Homer and Marge's love in Pixelated and Afraid. Bart learns something about himself via both Martin Prince and Ms. Peyton. As for Lisa, well, I think this is one of Lisa's best seasons ever, to be quite honest. It hits the perfect balance of her mini-adult go-getter side, while reconciling that she is still 8 years old. She bonds with Shauna as an older sister, or goes supernova as an only child. In Lisa's belly, we probably get Lisa's greatest meltdown in series history. It is awe-inspiring what a blind rage she goes into. It is a legitimately compelling Lisa and Marge conflict, portraying both sympathetically and touching on a very real issue. In The Sound of Bleeding Gums and My Octopus and a Teacher, we get tales of Lisa's fiery passions, while remaining honest about her limitations. Maybe Lisa can't magically solve everybody's problems. There is definitely an underlying theme about one's limitations throughout Season 33, the streak of nihilism that pervades it. Season 33 is like the wholesome nihilism season, where the characters support each other and Homer is this lovable teddy bear of a dad. But at the same time, ultimately the world sucks, and everything they do is kind of pointless in the grand scheme of things. In Bart's in Jail, for example, the family isn't able to take down this giant industry of scammers. Marge wrestles with the idea that maybe she has to live in a world of suspicion and cynicism. Also, hey, Bill makes a cameo here. Yay, Bill! This bizarre fantasy sequence is worth it now. Poorhouse Rock is basically all about how doomed the middle class is in late-stage capitalism, and struggles in finding tangible solutions to latch onto. They do try to come up with something for Bart. They don't want to end on a message of, your generation is totally screwed. But it is really unconvincing. All I want is the Simpsons writers to solve the economic inequality problem in America. Is that too much to ask? Jeez. As a whole, Season 33 is a character season, not a satire season. Its satirical game is honestly pretty weak, taking safe potshots at the fashion industry, cancel culture, the fashion industry again, the economy, and shady music producers. In that cancellation episode, titled, "You Won't Believe What This Episode Is About, Act 3 Will Shock You," things start out simple enough, with Homer inadvertently making dumb mistakes and everybody hating him for it. But unlike something like Homer Badman that went after media culture as a whole, this episode turns into an elaborate heist against a single technology company. I appreciate that they're doing a different spin on this concept, but their final message lacks any satirical edge. That said, I'm glad the show isn't sticking its head in the sand about the fantasy world the Simpsons live in. It's not the most insightful season, but at least it shows self-awareness. I have to say though, Season 33's use of technology is absolutely fantastic. It knows how to integrate social media into the narrative when needed, demonstrating how quickly it spreads. Bart the Cool Kid uses it for one of the funniest visual moments of the year. Bart starts filming on his phone, demanding a refund and making a scene, and then Shauna and others film him in response, cluttering the screen with more POVs. It's so visually chaotic and creative. Sure, there are moments where the corporate parodies reach Maple and Steve Mobs level of schlock, but as a whole, the show feels more relaxed about its characters living in the 2020s. The joke writing as a whole probably isn't going to wow people looking for classic Simpsons level of humor. This is not an especially punchy season of The Simpsons. They're more interested in these laser-focused, intimate stories full of character-driven gags, rather than bouncing all over the place to wacky land. That being said, I think the show has improved its pacing significantly over the past couple years. Jokes no longer trip over each other, distract the audience, or feel especially sweaty. They're not indicating their jokes quite as much, or treating the audience like they're stupid. The guest stars of Season 33 are mostly well integrated. It's a nice mix of big stars and more quirky character actor types. Getting Kristen Bell, Sasha Chase, and Hugh Jackman for the musical episodes are excellent. Kerry Washington was a great choice as Bart's new teacher. A serious Flanders managed to bring in 5 new guest star characters into this Ned Flanders drama without it somehow becoming too distracting. The Simpsons welcomed its first deaf voice actor, John Autry II, to play Bleeding Gums Murphy's son. Unfortunately, the series is still falling into old bad habits with its guests, like in The Longest Marge. You remember that season 17 episode, Homer and Marge turn a couple play? Of course you don't. It's totally forgettable in every way. No one cares about those random guest star characters. The Longest Marge is like that, centering the whole story on Beck Bennett's Johnny Manziel pastiche that no one in the audience gives a flying crap about. It's kinda sort of a Marge vs. Burns parenting story, but once again, who really cares? I feel like the show should be better than this kind of episode by now. This is a relic from 15 years ago, and should have been shamed out of their system after the Elon Musk fiasco. Please stop doing these. To be fair, that might be more of an episode-specific problem. Like Bart the Cool Kid, which prominently features The Weeknd, manages to avoid all of these issues. For a second, it looks like it's going to turn into a poor little rich boy story that has nothing to do with The Simpsons, but they quickly pivot back to the Homer and Bart dynamic, making a statement about adults intruding in kids' spaces. And The Weeknd is genuinely great in this. I hope The Simpsons get him on again. Also, his credits joke is amazing. Got a huge bewildered laugh out of me. Other guest star appearances can be just plain confusing. They bring in John Lithgow, Seth Green, Kristen Ritter, and Paul F. Tompkins to do an elaborate Succession homage. This is a good parody choice, as it's one of the few shows on HBO Max that they'll actually keep on their service and not write off in their taxes. Anyway, the parody itself is fine. It sticks faithfully to the source material and makes a ton of little references. Naturally, the Shiv character is going to connect up with Lisa. But it's like, why did you bring Seth Green in to do a Kieran Culkin impression? Paul F. Tompkins is doing a good Alan Ruck, but it doesn't feel like a good use of your Paul F. Tompkins. Especially in a season where you already had Brian Cox show up. I get that maybe they could only get Cousin Greg to reprise his role, but what an odd concept for celebrity stunt casting. They bring back Glenn Close in the episode Mothers and Other Strangers, another attempt to mine some content out of Homer's tragic past. This one changes up Homer's backstory, as he and Grandpa specifically go on a road trip to find her. I don't recommend watching Mother Simpson directly after this one. Acts 1 and 2 don't really make any sense anymore. I'm not going to get into it further. I had an entire Twitter Spaces rant that was thankfully lost to time. But in such a forward-looking season of The Simpsons, it's disappointing that the show keeps reiterating on the same old story concept. I feel like I'm watching a depressed time traveler who keeps going back to steal away a little more time together. The emotionality in the execution is fine. I can understand why less anal people would love this one. I'm just way past the point of diminishing returns. Starting to wonder if Mona Simpson needs to be killed off again. And, since I guess this section of the video has become my list of grievances, let's throw Treehouse of Horror 32 onto the pile. This was not one of their better outings. The opening Barty segment is okay, they get some decent laughs out of the ring with Lisa, but oof, those middle 2 segments. They do a Parasite homage designed to spoil its best moments for those unfamiliar and infuriate pretty much everybody else. Once again, season 33 is not a good year for satire. And that's followed up with a "The Trees Are Killing Us" segment that sounds like something The Simpsons would make fun of. Also, didn't Futurama do this one already? That being said, when the Treehouse of Horror is one of the worst episodes of the year, that's probably a good sign for the quality as a whole. At least their Halloween episodes always have great animation in surreal situations. And the other stuff I wasn't impressed by, like that Mona and Brandine spotlights, there's at least something interesting about them conceptually. I don't feel like I wasted my time watching them. They weren't boring. The Longest Marge is really the only boring episode, and even that one isn't in like the bottom 50 all-time or anything. Despite a few stumbles here or there, Season 33 really is the most exciting year of The Simpsons in some time. Their willingness to experiment with formats and play with the characters is paying dividends. That sense of modern Simpsons staleness isn't here. It rarely feels like they're playing the old hits. That whole Simflix format they started with a series Flanders is a fantastic idea. I'm excited to see what other alternate Simpsons worlds we get glimpses of. It's Season 33, why not play around with the show? Why not try out some random character duos? I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually do kinda care about Chalmers' relationship with his daughter now. Who would have thought? This is technically the first season in which Matt Selman show-ran the majority of the episodes, due to the producers juggling multiple responsibilities. And while it's easy to just go, all praise King Selman, they also changed things up by having co-showrunners on every episode who helped guide the story to completion. Pixelated and Afraid, for example, was written by John Frink, with Carolyn Omine as the co-showrunner. Maybe this is why the stories feel relatively more fresh. They're getting the most out of their industry experience that the writing staff has. I don't really like the characterization that Season 33 is this Simpsons renaissance, or that it saved The Simpsons or whatever. Partially because that's overhyping what's going on here, but also because I feel like this kind of framing always invites comparisons to the classic era, and the show is just never gonna win that showdown. It's just not. But I don't think it's trying to compete with classic Simpsons. Its overall vibe is too different. That's kind of what I love about Season 33, that it lives in such a radically different world now. I think we should be celebrating how much the show can evolve over 25 years, how an episode like Pixelated and Afraid can even be made today. They're putting the modern in modern Simpsons. If you've had your fill of Simpsons episodes and can't fit any more into your media diet, then I don't recommend Season 33. Like, it's not gonna win over anybody burnt out on the show. It's good, but it's not that good. But if you're a lapsed Simpsons fan who's curious about what they're up to, or want a brief pop-in, I think Season 33 is a great re-entry point. In the video description below, I'm gonna list my general recommendations if you wanna watch a few of them. I would say the most essential episodes are probably Pixelated and Afraid, A Serious Flanders Parts 1 and 2, Lisa's Belly, and My Octopus and a Teacher. After that, it's kind of a question of which characters you're in the mood for, and whether or not you like musicals. Let me know in the comments what you think of Season 33, whether or not it lives up to the hype, or if you're baffled by the reaction to it. I feel like opinions are going to be all over the place on this one. But I say, the fact that we can even be having this argument about a Season 33 of all things means that they're probably doing something right.